How we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. I'm doing just a quick one today, responding to a video I've just watched by Dave Cullen. Um, Nothing but love and respect for Dave Cullen. I've been watching his channel for years. His two books have been added to the pile of books I intend on reading that never seems to go down. And he's just, this is 2 days ago he's put this video up. I'll put it in the description so you can watch it and get a bit of context as well. So it's the future of James Bond under Amazon, and yeah, he's pondering how the franchise of James Bond has gone and where it's going to go with Amazon. I think the writing's on the wall with that, but I won't get too much into that. But the point I mainly want to address is his idea of where he'd like it to go, and yeah, I was going to leave a comment like in response to it, but then I was like, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel of my own. I don't have to leave comments anymore. I'm going to just put it out there. So he says towards the end about, he kind of argues, one could allude that the whole wokeness seeds were planted with GoldenEye, with the dressing down that that of course, so that was the first time there was a female M. It's Judi Dench, and she gives Bond a bit of a dressing down, saying he's a chauvinistic relic of a bygone era, which, I suppose in the 90s as well, that was still a bit of a, trope. I would argue with that she still has a fondness for him, though. There is still a camaraderie there, and, she does say at the end of that, come back alive, and when Bond blames himself for the death of I don't have to worry about spoilers, it is about 30 years old. So Sean Bean's character, who later comes back as the villain, he says, like, you didn't get him killed, and she snaps back, yeah, and neither did you. So she's fights his corner just as quick. So I'm a little, what's there is there, but I try not to, I don't think it's too much on the nose. But anyway, but when I was talking about the video I did the other day about Doctor Who and Bond and whatnot, I was saying I read somewhere that they planned to have Christopher Nolan do a Bond trilogy that was set during the Cold War, which I thought was a good idea. And that's what Dave Cullen says. He says he would like the franchise to go back, set in the Cold War, and he'd kind of want it to stay there, because he says, although that speech by Judi Dench was a bit on the nose and a bit cutting, she did also have a bit of a point of the time. And my answer to that is why? Why can't we have a modern Bond? Why can't Bond be timeless? And I say move with the times, but maybe moving with the times is what's caused this trouble. But bear with me. Moving with the times in terms of, you could say political structures, you could say with technology, so on and so forth. And it's like, well, why can't? And he said also that the gadget side of Bonds is basically, it's bordering on science fiction, and Roger Moore, like Pierce Brosnan's sort of tenor as Bond, kind of went the same way as Roger Moore. It all got a little bit too much. So the witty one-liner basically just builds up and builds up to the point where it just becomes a comedy. The gadgets get more and more ridiculous to the point where it's science fiction. I get that, but it doesn't have to. And when it comes to, technology and gadgets, well, does it have to be in the realm of science fiction where it's impossible? So, I take for his example, like Star Trek, the sliding doors, that started on, and now every supermarket or, any establishment you can walk into will have sliding doors. A couple of years. Certain watches and cars were basically given to the films as a product placement. And what I'm getting at is what they've abandoned and dropped with James Bond. And go, oh, we can't do that anymore. It's like, well, we've got it with Mission Impossible. The amazing stunts. We've still got like really great action with like John Wick, as was a fairly new a new franchise. I know I don't think we need to see Bond, fighting like John Wick. It's basically just a modern kung fu film. But you get what I'm talking about. When it came to the end of Pierce Brosnan's era, and then the Daniel Craig era came in, they basically wanted Bonds. They went, right, the gadgets have gone a bit too much. The action's gone a bit fast. We want to reduce it back to the beginning, back down to grad level, and we want it gritty, and we want it, harsh and realistic, and set in the real world. And basically, but James Bond became Jack Bauer. And this is the whole problem with Daniel Craig's era of the franchise. He's become Jack Reacher. We just need Bond to be Bond again, and this is what that baton that was dropped. Mission Impossible picked it up immediately and has run with it, with gadgets, with stunts. That last Mission Impossible film, the way it was filmed, it was impeccable. The stunts were amazing. And the Mission Impossible franchise has basically just become the Tom Cruise show, because most people forget now that Mission Impossible was based on a show. And with James Bond, you had a bunch of television shows. You had Danger Man, which led the way to The Prisoner. You had The Saint, which gave us Roger Moore. And you had Mission Impossible. Leonard Nimoy was in Mission Impossible. And it's funny because the main character, or the character that stayed in it all the way through, was Jim Phelps, I think his name was. Well, that's who John Voight played in the first Mission Impossible film. So all these people, these people, stick with the canon. Well, the hero of Mission Impossible was the villain of the first film, and the guy that played him, was like, well, I would have liked to have played him. Like, I would have passed the torch to Ethan Hunt, but no, they made him the villain. They made him a traitor. So there's that. But yeah, so. Oh, we can't have the big stunts and the big technology and the fun of Bond, because that's not realistic. That's not modern. Yeah, but Mission Impossible have done that, and it's killing it. When has a Mission Impossible film ever failed? And they've all been bangers. Why can't we incorporate that? Because Tom Cruise, this is the thing. There's not going to be a new Ethan Hunt. People watch those films for Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise ain't going to be doing them forever. In fact, I heard that around the time that new Top Gun film came out, he was filming like a couple of them back to back, because he knew he wasn't going to be able to do it for much longer. I mean, if you look in this new one as well, Tom Cruise has actually started to age. I know I'm not commenting on he looks better at 60 than I do at 40. I'll give him that. But you know what I mean? It was always commented that Tom Cruise looks like 10 years younger than he is, or 20 years younger than he is. He is starting to look his age now, and age, it catches up with you eventually. So he's not going to be able to play this part for much longer. And I think Tom Cruise kind of knows what he's doing when it comes to films. He knows how to get bums in seats, and he knows how to deliver. For all his faults, he knows what he's doing with his day job. He knows how to deliver a good film, and a good popcorn flick at least. And I think he'll know when the time is right to cut it off and go, right, that's done. And I think Bond can now pick up that baton and introduce technology that they're playing with. And my only thing is, it's the political climate, because they're blatantly going to make, even if they don't completely go woke and they keep him a British man, God forbid, they'll make the villain to be like an Elon Musk or a Donald Trump, and it's kind of like, no matter what, like for Queen or for country. But how would they handle that? Because the biggest, the the biggest enemy to the British people at the moment is the British government. Like our own government has practically declared war on us at this point. So where would Bond fit in that? Like, so I guess you'd have to sort of set it into a point where, if you're going to set it in a modern day political climate, how would they handle it? And I think I know how they'll handle it, and I think you do as well. But I can't see why it can't be a vehicle for escapism set in the modern world with modern technology, and gadgets don't have to be science fiction. Surely when they go around the writing board and go, right, we can introduce this and introduce that, they go, yeah, but could we actually make that? I mean, that was what was good about the Christopher Nolan Batman films. That technology did exist. That Batmobile they did make. All the stuff, it was, you had to disregard, disconnect your belief, a little bit. But technically it was possible what Batman did. Why can't they do it like that? Why can't we get that nice balance? And I'm fine with a trilogy being set in the Cold War, but I don't see why we have to put him back in the Cold War and keep him there. That's where Bond's going to die. I think the world is more than ready, and there is more than room for a place for a modern day Bond that can compete with today's franchises, be it John Wick, be it Mission Impossible, so on and so forth. And the last thing I want to see is him being marvelled. I think the superhero is had its day, and that needs to sort of not die out. I think there's always going to be superhero films. There's always been superhero films, but enough already. Yeah. It ended with Endgame. Just accept it. And it's been a good couple of years since the last Bond film, and it's been and it was a couple of years before that. So Amazon really do have an opportunity to turn things around here, and I don't think they're going to take it. I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Hopefully, someone somewhere has got their head screwed on, and they've gone, "We've lost enough money on Lord of the Rings. Thank you very much. Can we just give the people what they want?" And apparently, Jeff Bezos is a fan. Apparently, but yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, that's my response. I said it'd be short. I don't think it has been. But that's my 2 pence worth. The original video will be in the description so you can have a watch and see what you think. And let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you down the road. Take care.